Courtney Cox says Timothée Chalamet. Do you know Shamalama Ding Dong, that kid?
Chalamet.
She says he should play Joey in a reboot of Friends. I'm looking forward to checking out the one where Joey steals all of Rachel's eyeliner.
Yep.
I'm trying to be light-skinned Chandler.
Meghan Markle's Rachel. Malcolm in the Middle star Frankie Muniz married his longtime sweetheart. That's nice. The only thing he said they want on their wedding registry was chafing dishes and my childhood back. So I'm just gonna get him a fork or something. That's like Dickie Roberts. It all goes back to one of my movies. In China, an army of 100,000 ducks were recruited to fight a swarm of locusts. The president of China was like, hey, ducks, you can play ball. We can either cook you and hang you from a window, or we do this. You decide, you got 1 minute. They were like, where do we go? What do we do? What are locusts? Finally, Buffalo Wild Wings paid Bone Thugs and Harmony to change their name to Boneless Thugs and Harmony. Of course, they did it. In a related story, check out McDonald's new rap group, Nuggets with Attitude. Netflix has announced they're holding a comedy festival in Los Angeles. Unclear if they'll have kitchens so people can sort of listen to some of the jokes while they make dinner in a different room. Taxes. So that hasn't been ironed out yet, but we're going to figure it out. Doctors published a new recommendation that all adults ages 18 to 79 should be screened for hepatitis C. But the screening becomes mandatory if you ever get raw-dogged by a tattoo artist. Mandatory. Because they're a little sketchy.
Yeah, they are.
My guy is really...
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Chuck Liddell, says he's officially retired from MMA fights. He says he's excited to spend quality time terrifying his family. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Coronavirus preppers have been clearing out stores of masks and hand sanitizer, leaving nothing for the people who date Post Malone. I like that.
Yeah, talk about getting raw dogged by Post Malone.
Yeah.
Tests for everything.
Give me the whole thing. Rap group Public Enemy fired Flava Flav this week. Ooh. His accountant said, see, this is why I told you to save your money. I wouldn't like it if my accountant was doing jokes at the time.
No. I thought you were going to say all clocks were at half mast.
Oh, that's not bad. Easy with the better jokes. Right? And finally, Woody Allen's memoir is set to come out in April. It's called 8 Simple Rules for Nailing Your Teenage Daughter. Okay, so a new study ranked the best and worst states to be a woman. The best state was Massachusetts, while the worst state was sleepy at Bill Cosby's house. Throwback Thursday. You remember that story. Italy is planning to close college campuses as a precaution against coronavirus. This includes the most famous Italian college. What's the matter, you? What's the matter, University? Yeah. Briefcase down. Briefcase back for rest of monologue. A new Aston Martin will cost $950 grand and has no roof and no windshield. Some in the car industry are already saying this will revolutionize the way people die in cars. They said, you ain't seen nothing yet. A new study says that mothers can tell how well their children are developing by smelling them. Here's how it works. If you smell your 15-year-old and he smells like he pooped his pants, then you got a lemon. Yeah. It's not doing great. And finally, William Shatner's divorce settlement stipulated that he gets to keep all of his horse semen. I get it. When I'm heartbroken, I do a lot of stress eating, too. Yeah. Today is National Name Tag Day, a holiday Angelina Jolie makes her 80 children celebrate every day. Which one are you again? Zeppo? Don't tell me. Way off. Thanks to coronavirus, Australia is facing a toilet paper shortage. I think they took it literally when we said, We need to wipe out this virus. That's not what we meant. We didn't. They thought. Kanye West's daughter, North, rapped for the first time ever at this week's Kanye fashion show. They knew she would be a rapper because she's the only kid in the world who actually likes taking cough syrup. I used to hate it. I like it now. A NASA exec shot and killed his neighbor after a year-long fight over dog poop left in his yard. He said it's one small step for man, one giant hole in his neighbor's head. That's what he said. I'm just the reporter. A woman faked muscular dystrophy and being confined to a wheelchair to attend a disabled camp. Even worse, this was all so she could walk at the Big Camp Talent Show. I've heard the Big Camp Talent Show is fun, but that's not, you shouldn't be doing that. And finally, parents in England let their 11-year-old son drive a car just so he'd stop playing Grand Theft Auto. If you think that's bad, wait till you hear what the mom did to get him off Pornhub. You don't want to know.